I think generally speaking, you have three different like subgroups of fighters, right? Guys that get involved in MMA, right? So you have the fighter, the guy that likes to fight, maybe not the most technical, maybe not the most athletic, but he's tough, right? He's the guy that nothing's come easy to him and probably works really hard. Not interested in bettering himself through martial arts or anything like that. Right. Just likes to fight, right? Likes the thrill of the fight. Robbie Lawler comes to mind. Somebody like, he was a champion, and he was I would call him primarily a fighter. You have athletes, right? Guys that maybe come from specific disciplines where they were maybe a world champion or a national champion, a specific discipline. They're athletic. They like competition, right? They may or may not like to fight, right? They may or may not be trying to better themselves as a human being or seeking any kind of perfection. They just want to win, okay? Then you have the martial artists, right? The martial artist, in my opinion, is the guy that's on a complete path of like mind, body, spirit, and is trying to become the best version of himself and the best version of a fighter that he can be. He has a tireless pursuit of perfection, not necessarily in the pursuit of just winning, but in the pursuit of I just want to be as great as I can be and develop a level of mastery that, the highest level of mastery that I can.
So is a good example of that like George St. Pierre?
I would call George St. Pierre a martial artist. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's the perfect example of that. It's the reason he's one of my all-time favorites. And I think he really encompasses that so well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's,
so dependent on that, right? The whole point of that was, so I think wherever you sit on that might have a lot to do with like which modality of training is going to work for you.
Yeah, somebody's personality. That's going to be in their mindset.
Yeah.
Well, and I think to your point, like if you're an athlete and you come up with that competition and you're a high level college wrestler, right? Probably that sort of discipline going through your training through MMA, that sort of same mindset is going to work for you to learn the best in boxing or any of those other skill sets.
You can get all of those things to work for you. We've seen world champions come, I think, from every one of those molds. I think what's really fascinating to me is when the athlete and the martial artist merge, or when all three merge, really, because let's say, what I see, if you just take them purely, right, and they don't have, an athlete maybe doesn't have any of the other attributes, so he's purely a fighter, right? So he's maybe not the most technical, but he's tough and he will keep fighting, right? And you can't get that guy to go away. He's just going to keep coming at you, right? Sometimes the athlete doesn't have that.
Right.
Sometimes the athlete folds when it turns into a fight, when it's no longer a competition, right? And now it's a fight. And now there's a level of will that has to be mustered up that the athlete might not have.
Right, because now we're getting into mindset, right? Yeah. The mindset of the individual in the fight itself.
Whereas, and then the martial artist who's on that path to perfection. So like if you can merge all three of those things, then you have a very, very dangerous person.
There's always a balance.
Yeah. So if you can create that balance, and I think ultimately that's what the martial artist is the balance between the athlete and the fighter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good point.
You could also say if a guy is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, did Muay Thai for years, maybe was a high school state champ wrestler, right? But either A, couldn't combine them all in a way for MMA, or B, just doesn't have that killer instinct to be in the cage. Doesn't matter what he knows.
Yeah. Listen, I know guys like this. I know guys that were studs in high school in wrestling, right? I know guys and grew up with like very, very comprehensive striking backgrounds, all the talent in the world, and just didn't have the head for competing, right? For competing in a fight. A fight is very, very different than competing in anything else. It really is, man. Like I would say wrestling is the hardest sport that I've ever participated in physically. I would say that fighting is the most stressful.